I remember when you guys signed Mooney back in March, whatever. You mentioned how a corner like that gives you the certain option to follow the shadow the other team's top receiver. When you add a Sauce Gardner, are you more inclined to leave them side to side since they can handle whatever comes at them?
Yeah. Yeah, I think there's value to that. I certainly think there's still value to maybe matching up a guy on a certain player. So the beauty of that, it gives us flexibility to do whatever we think is best for that particular week.
And then you've got Kenny Moore. I guess you can never in this league you can never have too many cover guys.
No, you can't.
JJ.
Hey Lou, Sauce was saying yesterday that you kind of just came up to him and said, "Hey, like don't basically put all this pressure on yourself." Essentially yesterday, and he almost said it was like you were reading his mind during the bye week. I guess why did you feel the need to make that comment, and what was sort of the goal of it?
Well, I think it just, when you're a guy like that, and certainly he knows what the trade was for, and he's a prideful guy, and he certainly doesn't want to disappoint. He's that kind of person, just as I get to know him. And I just wanted to let him know that, I don't care who you are, it's not about just one person. And, go out there, play free, and you don't, have your mind clear and don't worry about putting all that added extra pressure on you. Because if you do that, then you're just weighing yourself down. So I just want to let him know that I'm not thinking that way. I just want him to go out and be the best version of him. And if he does that, that'll be good enough, and we'll win a bunch of games.
What did you see on the film from the game in Berlin from Sauce?
Well, he's just he's a very aware player, very smart, very, very intelligent guy. Picked up the system, very well. Uh, really didn't have an error in terms of an assignment. But now he'll have a feel for, and have a whole week of, knowing what's going on around him a little more, where his help is a little more, what's the intent of each call. Not that he didn't know fully, but he had 3 days. So part of that was traveling to Germany. So I think with a full week's work and as we progress during the season, it'll only get better.
Evan.
Lou, I think the Sauce news might have broke right after we chatted with you a couple weeks back when Chris and Shane, I guess, first approached you and mentioned the name and the possibility. What was your reaction?
Yeah, I mean, he's a premium player in our league and at his position, and anytime you got a chance to acquire somebody like that, you're certainly going to be excited. And then when it happened, I think the whole building and just what a great show of support from ownership on down, and to giving us a player like that, and he's been great and will only get better.
James.
Lou, obviously you're no stranger to Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs. What stands out to you about them this year, if anything, that's different than in years past?
How great they are, how great Coach Reed is, and the way they run the offense, and certainly Patrick and Kelsey, and the rest of the group that they have there. They're very precise in what they're trying to attack. They're very precise in what they're trying to get done. Um, in each game and each game plan, and how they try to attack you, is well thought out. Obviously, the respect that I have for that group, like every coach does, but just because we've played them so much, man, they keep you up late at nights. That's for sure.
And then one follow-up, how does Rashee Rice kind of change the math for them? Obviously, he wasn't a player that was around when you were doing the Cincinnati thing.
I mean, he's just another dynamic weapon for them, and a guy that they try to get the ball to as much as possible in a bunch of different ways. It could be in the backfield, it could be a quick screen, it could be a vertical throw. So he's a guy that we're well aware of.
Joel.
Uh, Obviously, losing Buck is tough at any point. How do you try to make up for that loss?
Well, it's hard. I don't think you ever replace a guy like Buck. I think Tommy stepped in and did a hell of a job, and I think it's a little bit by committee, and we roll guys through there, and to say that you're going to just immediately replace his production, that'd be hard to do. But we got a great room in there, and Charlie Partridge does a great job with that D line. And I have utmost confidence in the guys that are going to play for us. And whenever Buck is ready to come back, we'll welcome him with open arms.
But between that and you guys having, the two corners, does it maybe lend itself maybe more to the blitz?
Oh, I don't know. Certainly each game will be a little bit different in how we approach it. Patrick is pretty good at seeing what you're doing, but we'll certainly have our different plans for different weeks, and we'll see how it plays out this week.
Just a few more, Nathan.
Lou, when you had this run, when your Cincinnati teams beat KC, I think 3 times in a row, including the playoffs, what did you feel like you guys executed so well on that allowed you guys to have such success against a team that very few teams around the league were beaten at the time?
Well, I think it's a couple of things. I think, complementary football with the, offense and defense and special teams playing together. I think on the defensive side, you're limiting them to field goals instead of touchdowns. Taking the ball away on any team is important, but it is really important when you play them. If you're fortunate enough to get a takeaway from these guys, that just takes one more possession away. And then playing great situational defense, third down and red zone. So sounds a little bit like routine, but when you're playing a great team and a great offense and a Hall of Fame quarterback, a Hall of Fame head coach, and a Hall of Fame tight end, these things become paramount.
I think this is maybe kind of going back to something that James just asked. When you look at those KC teams from that 2022, 2023 timeframe to this group that's playing for them right now, I know their record maybe kind of hides a little bit of how good this team that they have right now truly is. Are there any notable differences on that offense in particular that, when you're watching film today that just, stands out a little bit different compared to the group that you were scheming against a couple of years ago?
I mean, I just think that, they've done such a great job in their front office and the personnel and kind of plugging different guys in to take other guys' roles. When we first played them in 21, there was, Tyreek was on that team, and, the speed throughout there. I always said we're playing a 4x1 track team, with the guys that they had back then, and it's no different now. They've got guys that can really, really run. And so they certainly have a mindset and a mold of what they want, a prototype at receiver, a prototype at tight end, the running back. So they just do a good job of plugging players in, and their guys execute at a high level, and it all starts with number 15.
And what did you make at the time when you had that run against KC of that mad scientist nickname that you, I think it was someone on that Cincinnati defense that coined that for you?
Yeah. Oh, I think my kids got a bigger kick out of that than anything, but yeah.
Thanks.
We'll go with JJ, and then James will be our last question.
Hey Lou, we're talking about, Sauce getting the bye, but how big has it maybe been for Jermaine to get, 5 games under his belt and then the bye, to kind of hit this last stretch of the season now?
No, I think it's huge, getting back into the swing of things with us. And, he's done a great job communicating to the group and playing well next to Zaire. And I think those guys have really done a good job inside and complementing each other very well.
And James, last question.
One more on Mooney. I know you can't speak to like his status this week, but there's a possibility he could return. What conversation have you had with him, just mentally, just kind of sticking with it through a trying year so far for him, and knowing how bad he wants to be out there? I saw him out in Berlin, and he came out of the locker room like he's about to go play.
Yeah, he's an ultimate competitor. That's what you love about the guy. And unfortunately, we had an unfortunate incident. So, we'll see where the week takes us, or the weeks to come take us. But I know this about him. He wants to be out there. He wants to play and be out there with his teammates and help this team win. And that's the most important thing.